Hey, English learners! Welcome back to Talk English with Emma, your friendly place to improve your English through simple, real-life conversations. I'm Emma.
And I'm Alex. We are so happy you are here with us today. However your week has been, busy or quiet, easy or difficult, we are glad you made time for this. So take a breath, get comfortable, and let's learn something together.
On this channel, we make English learning easy, practical, and enjoyable. We focus on everyday speaking, useful expressions, and conversations that help you sound more natural and confident. If you enjoy learning with us, please like this episode, subscribe to Talk English with Emma, and share it with a friend who is learning English too. Your support truly helps us reach more learners around the world. Okay, let's talk about today's topic.
Emma, can I ask you something?
Always.
I did. I asked the question, and I watched your face.
My face did that thing, didn't it? That small freeze.
Just for a second, just a tiny freeze.
And here's the funny part. I had a wonderful weekend. I really did. I went somewhere I loved. I ate something delicious. I had a moment on Saturday afternoon that I keep thinking about even now. And the moment you asked me, all of that disappeared, like someone swept it off a table. Gone.
And what came out instead?
It was good. I relaxed, just a quiet weekend.
The 3 most forgettable sentences in the English language.
Completely forgettable. And the person asking deserved so much more than that. My weekend deserved so much more than that.
And I think this is one of the most universal experiences of English learners everywhere, because how was your weekend is possibly the most common question in English. You will hear it every single Monday morning for the rest of your working life, from colleagues, from classmates, from friends, from neighbors, and yet, most learners answer it the same way every single time. It was good. It was fine. It was quiet. Nothing special.
And then the conversation ends, and Monday feels a little lonelier than it needed to. So today's episode is about changing that. Not just what to say when someone asks about your weekend, but how to think about your weekend differently so that the words come naturally and the conversation goes somewhere real. We have 3 ideas for you today. 3 small shifts that will completely transform how you talk about your weekend in English. And the third one, Alex, I am going to say it now. The third one is the one our listeners write to us about most. The one that makes people say, I tried this and I could not believe the difference.
So please stay with us all the way to the end for that one. But let's start from the beginning. Idea number 1, stop answering the question, start telling the story. Because here is the problem with how most learners answer, how was your weekend? They treat it like a question on a form, a box to fill in. It was good. Check. Done. Next question, please. And that is the death of a conversation.
But when a friend asks you how your weekend was, they are not filling in a form. They are opening a door. They are saying, I'm curious about you. Tell me something. Show me something. Give me a reason to stay in this conversation. And when you say, it was good, and stop, you're closing that door in their face. Not because you mean to, but because nobody taught you what to put through the door instead.
And what do you put through the door? A story. Even a tiny one, even a 1-minute story, even a story about something completely ordinary, because a small story told with honesty is always more interesting than a perfect answer told with nothing behind it.
Let me show you what I mean. Same weekend, 2 ways of talking about it. Version 1, it was good. I stayed home mostly, watched some television. Version 2, honestly, Saturday was one of those days where I did not plan anything, and somehow that turned out to be the best decision. I made a big pot of soup in the morning, and I just let it cook for hours, and the whole apartment smelled incredible. And at some point in the afternoon, I sat down with a book and a bowl of soup, and I thought, this is it. This is the good life right here.
I want that Saturday immediately.
And notice, nothing extraordinary happened. I made soup, I read a book. That's it.
but the way it was told made the other person feel something, made them picture the apartment, made them almost smell the soup, made them want to ask more.
And the English was simple. A big pot of soup. The whole apartment smelled incredible. This is the good life. These are not advanced phrases, they're just honest ones, and honest is always more powerful than impressive.
I want to tell you about something that happened to me a few years ago. I was at a new job, just my second week, and on Monday morning, a colleague came to my desk and said, "So, how was your weekend?" And I gave the answer, "Fine, quiet, you know how it is." And she smiled politely and walked away. And I sat there at my desk feeling like I had missed something, like a door had been opened and I had just stared at it and let it close.
That feeling is so specific and so real.
And the following Monday, the same colleague came to my desk again, and she asked the same question. And that week, I had done nothing more exciting than the week before. But I had been thinking about this, about how to tell a tiny story instead of give a tiny answer. And so I said, honestly, I had the most unexpectedly lovely Sunday. I went to the market near my house, which I usually rush through, but this time I had no plans, so I just wandered around slowly. And there was this one stall selling these enormous bunches of flowers for almost nothing, and I bought two and put them all around my flat. And I spent the rest of the day just feeling unreasonably happy about flowers.
And what happened?
She pulled up a chair. She sat down. She said, "Which market? I walk past markets every week and never go in." And we talked for 20 minutes about markets and flowers and the pleasure of slow Sunday mornings. And that was the beginning of a real friendship, all from a bunch of flowers and the decision to tell a story instead of give the answer.
One small true detail, one moment told with feeling, and the Monday changed.
So remember idea number 1. When someone asks how your weekend was, do not answer the question. Tell a story, even a tiny one, even one about soup or flowers or something you watched on television that you cannot stop thinking about. Pick one moment from your weekend and bring your listener inside it.
Okay, idea number 2, and this one goes a little deeper. Idea number 2, when you talk about your weekend, include the unexpected, the thing that surprised you. Because here is something most learners do not realize. The most interesting thing about any weekend is almost never the thing you planned. It's the thing that happened when the plan fell apart, or the thing that arrived out of nowhere on a quiet afternoon, or the thing that seemed small in the moment but turned out to matter more than you thought.
And in English, talking about the unexpected is some of the richest, most natural conversation there is, because everyone loves a story where something goes differently than expected. It is how almost every great story in history is structured. Something happened that nobody saw coming.
Let me give you some examples of how to introduce the unexpected in English. You can say, "And then something strange happened," or "And this is the part I did not see coming," or "I had no plan to do this, but," or "and out of nowhere," or "which was completely unexpected, but." These little phrases are like arrows pointing toward the interesting part. They tell your listener, pay attention, something real is about to happen.
For example, my weekend was mostly quiet, but then something strange happened on Saturday evening. I was just walking back from the shop and I heard live music coming from a little side street I have walked past 100 times and never really noticed. And I followed the sound and there was this tiny courtyard I did not know existed, and a small band playing, and maybe 30 people sitting on steps and walls listening. And I sat down on a step with my shopping bag on my lap and I stayed for an hour, and I was completely happy.
I love that. A courtyard I did not know existed. That is such a specific and beautiful detail.
And notice the structure. My weekend was mostly quiet, that sets the scene, but then something strange happened, that signals the unexpected, and then the story, and at the end, the feeling. I was completely happy. That feeling is the landing place. That is what the listener takes away.
I had a weekend moment recently that I keep telling people about. I had planned to spend Sunday doing some work I had been putting off all week. Very responsible, very adult. I had a plan. And then my neighbor knocked on my door at 9 in the morning and asked if I wanted to come to a car boot sale with her. For people who do not know, a car boot sale is an outdoor market where people sell secondhand things from the backs of their cars.
And did you go?
I went. I abandoned my responsible Sunday plan immediately, and I went. And I spent 2 hours walking around in the cold, looking at other people's old belongings. And I found this old book of photographs from a city I love, published in 1974, and it cost almost nothing. And I stood there in the cold, turning the pages, and I felt this warm, quiet feeling that I cannot fully explain, like touching time.
Like touching time. Alex, write that down somewhere.
And when I told this story to a friend, she immediately said, "Where is this car boot sale? I want to go." And we made plans. From a story about an abandoned Sunday plan and a secondhand book.
The unexpected is always where the best stories live. So this week, when you are thinking about how to talk about your weekend, ask yourself, what surprised me? What did not go to plan? What happened out of nowhere that I am still thinking about? That is your story. Lead with that.
Idea number 3. And Emma, let's take a moment before you share it.
Yes, because this one really does change things, and I want to give it the space it deserves.
Go ahead.
Idea number 3 is this. The most powerful thing you can do when talking about your weekend in English is to say something true that you would normally keep to yourself. Something a little private, a little vulnerable, a little more honest than the safe answer. Because here's what most people are really asking when they say, "How was your weekend?" They are not asking for a schedule. They are not asking for a list of activities. They are asking, "How are you? What is your life like right now? Are you okay? Are you happy? Is there something real happening behind the face you show on Monday morning?"
That is a lot to put into "How was your weekend?"
It is, but it is there. It is always there. And when you answer with something genuinely honest, even something small, even something quiet, people feel it and they respond to it in a completely different way.
Can you give an example?
I will give you a real one. A few months ago, I had a weekend where nothing went wrong. Nothing bad happened, but I felt strangely flat the whole time. That feeling where you can't quite enjoy things properly, even though everything is fine. And on Monday, when someone asked me how my weekend was, instead of saying fine, I said, honestly, it was a bit of an odd one. I had plenty of time and no particular worries, but I just felt a little off the whole weekend, like I was slightly out of step with myself. Do you ever have weekends like that?
And what happened?
The person I was talking to stopped completely, and then they said, I thought it was just me that got those weekends, and we had a conversation that went places I never expected on a Monday morning about what it means to be fine on paper, but not quite fine in your chest, about the difference between being alone and being lonely, about what we do with the quiet spaces in our lives.
A conversation like that on a Monday morning is genuinely rare.
And it happened because I said something true instead of something safe. I did not need advanced vocabulary. I did not need perfect grammar. I just needed to be honest. I was slightly out of step with myself. That is a simple sentence, but it opened a door that it was fine would have kept firmly shut.
And I want to say something to our listeners here. You do not have to share something heavy or difficult or deeply personal. The vulnerability does not have to be big. It can be tiny. You could say, I had a lovely weekend, but there was one moment on Sunday evening where I felt this wave of sadness for no reason, and I could not explain it. But it passed quickly, and I made tea and watched something comforting, and that helped. That is honest. That is human. And it's so much more interesting than fine.
Or it could be something happy and private, something you would not normally admit, like, I know this sounds silly, but I spent an embarrassingly long amount of time on Saturday afternoon reorganizing my bookshelves, and I loved every minute of it, and I am not even a little bit ashamed. Or I watched the same film I have seen 12 times and cried at the same part I always cry at, and it felt wonderful.
Those answers are delightful, and they are so much more you than "it was quiet."
That is idea number 3. Say something true, even something small, even something slightly private, because that honesty is what makes a Monday morning conversation feel like a real human exchange instead of a social formality.
Okay, let's slow down and do our word tour, our gentle walk through some words that will help you talk about your weekend more naturally and vividly.
First word, unwind. To unwind means to relax and let the tension of the week leave your body and your mind, like a spring slowly releasing. The weekend is when most people unwind from the pressure of daily life. For example, I really needed to unwind this weekend. I had not stopped all week. Or, I spent Saturday doing absolutely nothing, and it was exactly the kind of unwinding I needed. Say it. Unwind. Unwind. You can almost feel the release in that word.
Next word, spontaneous. Spontaneous means unplanned, happening naturally without being organized or decided in advance. A spontaneous moment is one that just happened because you followed an impulse or said yes to something unexpected. For example, we ended up having the most spontaneous Saturday. We had no plan and somehow ended up at a jazz concert in a park we had never been to. Or, sometimes the best weekends are the spontaneous ones, where nothing goes as expected. Say it. Spontaneous. Spontaneous.
Next phrase, much needed. Much needed means you really needed something because you had been without it for too long. People use this phrase to describe rest, time alone, time with friends, a break from routine. For example, it was a much-needed quiet weekend. I had been going non-stop for 3 weeks. Or, we had a much-needed catch-up. My friend and I had not seen each other in months. Say it. Much needed. Much needed. A phrase that carries exhaustion and relief in it at the same time.
Next word, recharge. To recharge means to restore your energy, like a battery. The weekend is when many people recharge for the week ahead. For example, I'm feeling so much better today because I actually managed to recharge over the weekend. Or, I knew I needed to recharge, so I turned off my phone on Saturday afternoon and just did nothing for a few hours. Say it. Recharge. Recharge.
Next word, stumble upon. To stumble upon something means to find or discover it by accident, without looking for it, without planning it. You were going somewhere or doing something and you came across this thing unexpectedly. For example, I stumbled upon this wonderful little bookshop on Saturday. I had never noticed it before, even though I walk past that street regularly. Or, we stumbled upon a festival in the park and ended up staying for 3 hours. Say it. Stumble upon. Stumble upon. There is something lovely and accidental about that phrase.
And our last word today, cozy. Cozy means warm, comfortable, and snug, a place or a feeling that is sheltered and peaceful and just the right size. A cozy weekend is one spent at home or in a warm, comfortable place, usually doing simple and comforting things. For example, I had the coziest Sunday, thick socks, a blanket, terrible weather outside, perfect weather inside. Or, there is something about this time of year that makes me want a completely cozy weekend with nowhere to be and nothing urgent to do. Say it. Cozy. Cozy. That word is a warm drink in word form.
Now it is your turn, and this is the part we look forward to most in every episode.
Yes, because this is where the English becomes yours.
Here is your challenge. Think about last weekend. Not the whole thing, just one moment. The one that surprised you, or the one you keep coming back to, or the one that was quiet and small, but somehow felt like exactly what you needed. And write about it in the comments, in English, in the words you have right now.
You could write something like, I stumbled upon a market near my house on Saturday, and I spent an hour walking around looking at things I did not need, and I felt completely peaceful the whole time, much needed. Or, I had a very cozy Sunday. I did not leave the house. I made food slowly. I watched rain on the window. I recharged in a way I did not know I needed until it was happening.
Or maybe you want to share something honest and a little private. Something like, my weekend was fine on the outside, but I felt strangely restless the whole time, like I was waiting for something without knowing what. And by Sunday evening, I realized I just missed people. And that is okay.
Write it, whenever it is. However long or short, however simple or complicated, just write something true.
And know that when you write your comment, you are practicing English in the most real and lasting way possible. You are connecting language to actual experience, to actual feeling. And language that is connected to feeling stays. It does not disappear after the test. It stays because it has somewhere to live.
And your comment might be the one that another learner reads and thinks, oh, a quiet weekend is worth writing about. My weekend is worth putting into words. Thank you for that.
One honest sentence, always worth more than 100 perfect ones that say nothing.
Before we close, we want to say something to you. If how was your weekend has felt like a trap until now, a question you dreaded because you never knew what to say, we hope this episode changed something for you, even just a little.
Your weekends are full of stories, even the quiet ones, even the ones where you barely left the house, even the ones where you felt a little off and could not explain why. All of it is material. All of it is interesting. All of it is worth saying out loud in English.
And the more you practice finding the story inside your ordinary days, the more natural it becomes. And one day, very soon, someone is going to ask you how your weekend was, and you are going to open your mouth and a real story is going to come out. And the conversation is going to go somewhere unexpected and warm and real. And you are going to think, oh, so this is what English feels like when it's actually working.
And it is going to feel wonderful, we promise. If this episode helped you, please give it a like, subscribe to Talk English with Emma, and share it with someone who needs to hear it this Monday morning. Your support means everything to us, and it helps us reach more learners every single week.
Until next time, take care of your English, and take care of your weekends, every single one of them. This was Talk English with Emma. I'm Alex.
And I'm Emma. We will see you in the next episode. Bye, everyone.